What's up, everybody? Got another build that I've been running and I'm really enjoying it. This is the 4-piece Alpha Bridge build. I run Barrett's chest in a specialized backpack, as well as an LVOA and a FAMAS. So as far as my backpack here, chest piece here, running Barrett's chest, it's a pretty nice roll. I've got a couple of these now, one STAM, one firearms. Currently I'm running this one. If you guys don't know about this chest, it's really awesome. And when no skills are on cooldown, it will give you an increase of skill power by 10%. One skill on cooldown will increase your damage by 5%, and 2 skills on cooldown will increase your armor by 10%. This thing's really nice. So right now, it's giving me the boost to skill power. As you can see, my DPS and toughness is 384 and 354. So I'm going to pop one skill, which is Booster Shot, which also gives me damage and toughness. But gonna give me extra damage because of the one skill on cooldown. Let's see what that brings me to. So that just brought me up to 448 DPS, 416 toughness, and dropped my skill power a little bit. And let's see when I pop a another skill here. We've got 400k DPS, 354k toughness, and 113 skill power. That's pretty good. However, it doesn't look like my toughness went up, which is kind of weird. Maybe it's higher than what I thought. I think it was 334. Oh, there it goes. Now my toughness went up. It just was delayed. 396. So that's pretty decent. And then there's my my DPS there. Went back to one skill. A really cool chest piece. The backpack I run, currently I'm running a specialized backpack. This is real nice because it gives you quite a bit of electronics, and for the main reason I'm running it is so that my heal is a lot stronger. What this does is it adds 200% of your firearms and stamina to skill power. So you add your firearms and stamina up. I've got around, I don't know, 11,000, a little bit over that, and then times that by 2. So around 22,000 skill power it's adding. Real nice backpack. I need to get one that has ammo capacity on it. Armor, ammo capacity, that's what I'm looking for. I think I found one. But, yeah, it's firearms, so I found 2 of them. I would need to change something on my other gear to stamina that's currently firearms for this backpack to work for me. But, nice backpack. Oh, rolls on the chest. I rolled, damage to elites, armor, and ammo capacity. If you're PvEing, I like damage to elites on everything because it's a really good modifier. I stack damage to elites everywhere I can, but necessary to have armor. Second most important, I'd say, is ammo capacity, especially if you're running Alpha Bridge, because you'll run out of ammo pretty quick. And then whatever talent or whatever stat you prefer. You could do damage to elites, health on kill, health. You could do all sorts of different things. There's protection from elites, and excuse me. That's up to you, that stat. As far as mask goes, running an Alpha Bridge mask. Finally got a 256. This one's actually being sold in the base of operations in the hub. An okay mask. It comes with damage to elites on it and pretty low stamina, but it does have good armor. I was running a 229 and up until yesterday, so finally got the extra armor. I'm still not quite in all 256, so my base armor is still kind of low. But I think important things on here are damage to elites and enemy armor damage. The damage to elites is up to you. You can put crit there, you could put skill power there, but I just go for damage to elites and enemy armor damage. Knee pads. So knee pads are pretty simple now. Really your only choice for major attribute is armor. They nerf the amount of crit damage that can roll on knee pads, but buff the amount of armor. So the options are pretty much non-existent now. It used to be 20 crit damage or 250 armor. I would roll 20 crit damage prior, but now it's like over 1200 armor or 8 crit damage. So obviously the armor is 100% needed. Really important stat to look for is enemy armor damage as a minor attribute. This now works in PvP as well, so keep that in mind. It's 1/3 of the amount, and it's really, really nice. As far as backpack goes, I already showed that, but specialized backpack with armor, and I'd like to have ammo on it. Pretty simple. Don't really have much options as long as you're putting armor on there. Gloves. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten lucky with gloves. I'm still in my 229 gloves. These are firearms. Got really low armor compared to something that's like, you can have up to 1001 armor on gloves. You can go with all sorts of different things with gloves. Since crit and crit damage is not nearly as important anymore, unless you have tons of it, which most people don't, or you have a really, really strong pulse, which also most people don't, you could get away with not even having any of that on your gloves. I still prefer to have crit chance, crit damage, and damage to elites on my gloves. That's my preferred role for PvE. But assault rifle damage is great, or LMG if you're running LMGs. Health on kill is great. What else? Damage. I already said damage to elites. Any of that works really good, and gloves are a little bit easier now compared to what they used to be when they had to have crit. You could get away with not having one or the other, or both. Depends on how you play your build. But that's pretty much it for gloves. New ones don't roll skills. Holsters, really boring. Absolutely nothing to holsters other than high main stats, because you only have the option of armor. They kind of made loot pretty boring in 1.4, 1.5, I'd say. You have way less options of what you want on your rolls, so it's pretty easy to do a build. It does not take much time to get a properly built character, and you just want to roll armor, try to have high main stat, and yeah, I rolled my armor or my electronics higher on this one because I used to be real low on electronics because of my mask and my gloves being 229s. I was missing over 50 electronics on each of them. And because of my weapons, which I'll go over here now, I needed a bit more electronics. Still, even if I had perfect electronics rolls, it requires one piece of electronics mod to unlock Predatory. And Predatory is really important for me, and unless it's in the bottom slot, you're going to need to have enough electronics to unlock it. So for me, I'm running an electronics armor mod. My holster has the pulse crit mod. I'm not even running pulse at the moment, but I tried out smart cover. Got firearms armor mods, first aid, self heal. Here we've got firearms armor, and I think we've got firearms armor here as well. Yep. So if you guys didn't know what Alpha Bridge does, Alpha Bridge 2-piece bonus is 100% health regen, the 3-piece bonus is 5% weapon damage, and the 4-piece bonus is what makes this thing real special. If your primary and secondary weapon is of the same category, they both gain all of the unique active talents. So you do have to unlock them. The bottom slot's always free, keep that in mind. I've got a couple of options I've been running. I really like the FAMAS as a bottom gun that you don't shoot, and use it to buff up your primary. The reason why is the new talent called Uncomplicated. Damage is increased by 15%, but accuracy and stability mods reduce this bonus. Talents do not reduce it, so things like steady hands or smart cover or strikers or sentries, that kind of stability and accuracy does not reduce it. Only the mods that you put on your gun. So this is a very, very strong talent. Unfortunately, the FAMAS hits like a wet noodle, 15.4k versus 18.1k, and it has the worst horizontal recoil I've ever seen in a gun in this game. It's all over the place, side to side. So definitely not usable in my opinion as far as a gun that you actually shoot, but works great to buff up your stats on Alpha Bridge. I'm running Predatory, which regens 35% health over 20 seconds after you kill a target, which is really nice. It reminds me of the old Rehab mask glitch. And you pretty much have a constant heal going on, especially if you're running solo. That means every single enemy you kill is going to help regen health. I recently changed to Swift, 25% reload speed. I know when I first was doing Alpha Bridge builds, and a lot of people do this, they go for just pure damage stats. And that can work good, but I found that when I changed around things to give me more sustainability and things like Swift, I felt a lot better. It was more balanced, and it wasn't just pure damage, and a lot of the damage things depend on having skills on cooldown or popping things when you, like, whatever it is, like competent. So I'm really liking that. And then I have the uncomplicated, which is always on the FAMAS. My LVOA is brutal, destructive, and sustained. Now, destructive I'd say is the #1 best talent to have a gun on a gun now, which is 15% enemy armor damage. Real nice. Brutal is also real nice. Headshot damage it's been nerfed, but 12% when using this weapon for headshot hits. And I recently changed to sustained. So even though I have predatory giving me that health regen, because on my gear I have no health on kill, which is replaced with damage to elites everywhere that's possible. Killing a target increases your health by 6%. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it really is a big chunk, especially when you have a large health pool. I think I have 170,000 health. So the predatory is nice because it's a slow tick over time and helps you generate from bar to bar where you would normally stop. But having sustained on there made the game so much easier for me. Like running a solo Russian consulate, adding sustained, and also adding Swift made a big difference. I used to be running these here. This FAMAS was unforgiving, which was good damage when I was hurt. 1 missing segment is 10% damage, 2 missing segments is 25% damage, which is no laughing matter. That's a lot of damage. And I was running predatory as well as uncomplicated. And my old LVOA was prepared, brutal, destructive. So I ended up dropping prepared for Swift, basically. And actually, no, I dropped prepared for sustained, and I dropped, what did I drop? Unforgiving for Swift, and it was totally worth it. Both of these are good options, but prepared just wasn't working as much as I'd like it to. 30 meters away is fairly far away, especially when you're running like missions or whatever. There's not that many enemies that close, and if they are, you probably want to get a little bit closer. So you got a lot of options with Alpha Bridge. You can run this with LMGs, assault rifles. You could run it with whatever you feel like running. I like assault rifles because of the enemy armor damage, and the LVOA has 0 horizontal recoil with a decent amount of vertical recoil, but with no buffs. As you can see, it is not hard to stay on target. I mean, once I usually try to fire about 20 rounds if I'm not buffed up in cover as far as a stability thing. Otherwise, your recoil starts to get a little bit crazy. Now, if I get into cover, as you'll see, I can fire around 40 rounds without needing to stop. And you can do a full magazine into someone, which is quite a bit, even with steady hands. But they're not going to be super accurate. Now, if you're running smart cover and steady hands, that's when this gun becomes a straight laser beam. And can almost fire every mag without really correcting. At the end, it starts to get extreme, and I run out of mouse pad. But I usually try to just fire around 20 to 30 rounds, and then pause for a brief second, let it regenerate, and it feels really good. You can use whatever gun you prefer. I really don't recommend the FAMAS, look at this thing. It is all over the place, side to side. So rather than just trying to correct up and down, it moves crazy side to side. And I don't like that. Pretty much got no vertical recoil, which is nice. But even if I'm in smart cover with my steady hands, the side to side is still pretty extreme. It's a little bit better, but shoots like a wet noodle and has some weird recoil. Don't really enjoy it. As far as other talents go, let's show my character sheet real quick. I do a lot of damage. It may not look like it by my DPS and toughness, but I have 171,000 health. I'm missing a little bit of armor because of my 229 gloves. I'm missing a couple hundred armor there, as well as armor everywhere else a little bit, but not a whole slot. What do we got here? We don't have very high crit chance or crit damage. 14% with 52 crit damage. If I have my pulse on, which I normally run unless someone else has a stronger one, I gain 21 crit chance and crit damage. So it brings me up to like 35% crit chance, which is a decent amount. It's not like what we used to be used to, but you do crit quite a bit. And I could add a little bit more crit damage. Oh, let me show my mods. That's kind of important. Gun mods. Because I changed something. Now, I'm running on this. I don't really need to show my FAMAS because I don't fire that. I'm running a mag size crit chance rate of fire magazine. Real nice. You could go with whatever you want, but always go with mag size. But I like the crit chance rate of fire. My scope is headshot damage, crit chance, crit damage. And my muzzle is the same. Headshot damage, crit chance, crit damage. Now, here's where I changed it, and I actually like this change. I went with a reload speed muzzle, or underbarrel. I used to have a crit damage underbarrel. I added 20% crit damage to my underbarrel, but after adding Swift and seeing how much of a difference Swift made, which was 25%, changing to this underbarrel, 27%, made my reload speed so fast. And once I did a run with it and took it off, I was like, you know what? I prefer this. So I removed a mod that used to be 20% crit damage. So I lost a total of 16% crit damage, but I gained 27% reload speed. And that's a lot. I think I was running this before. Crit damage, stability, optimal range, something like that. And man, did it make a big difference. You could get 4% reload speed with certain mods, but I don't know, give it a try. You might really like it. And I know I did. So as you can see here, my reload is really quick now, which makes a huge difference. My sustained DPS is actually higher. So if you look at what the DPS of this reload speed grip versus the DPS of this crit damage grip, I actually gained 24 or 22,000 DPS. Now keep in mind that's not true DPS because my actual true DPS went down, which is weird. And what I mean by true DPS is how much damage I'm actually doing in 1 second. It's went down because I'm no longer getting that crit damage. But my sustained DPS, which is what this number is, the way they get this number is by taking 1 minute and dividing by 60. So damage per minute divided by 60 is what the DPS readout is in this game. And I confirmed that when I went to the Elite Task Force and asked them about it. I tried to ask them if they'd add us a second DPS, which shows our just actual DPS. Some people would call it burst DPS. The amount of DPS you do per second prior to a reload. Because things like reload and mag size are counting into your DPS. And unless they take less than a second, then they really shouldn't, if you ask me, when you're looking at a true DPS number. Because if it takes 3 seconds until you got a reload, then reload speed shouldn't really affect it unless you're talking about sustained DPS. And it's just one of those things. Some people like it, some people don't. I would prefer to have both readouts. You can easily find your DPS out by doing a little bit of maths. And let's go back to what we were looking at here. Character sheet. One of the reasons I'm doing so much damage is I focus on raw damage rather than crit and crit chance, or crit damage, crit chance. I have 16% damage to elites and 58% enemy armor damage. That is a lot. That's what, 74.5, I think. I'm really bad at maths, but I believe that's almost 75% damage to elites that have armor, which is almost everything if you're playing in the harder difficulties. So my actual DPS to these targets is just so much higher than what my sheet reads out. And I love it. It's doing a really good job, and having that extra health on kill and predatory makes me feel very safe. I'm able to now do Russian Consulate without ever dying, without using my signature skill or anything. pretty much easily now with this. It was pretty difficult at first. Running Russian Consulate on challenge mode was actually pretty difficult with the new AI changes and cooldowns and all the things different. It was a lot more difficult. And just recently with this build, I'm able to do it multiple times now without dying. So really happy with that. My toughness is pretty low still. My mitigation's only 51.52. I only have 12,300 armor. Now, I could get a little bit more everywhere else, but there's not that much more I can gain. My gloves, missing over 250 armor right there, so that's a big spot. But then everywhere else, it's just better rolls on my mods, better rolls on the base armor, and better rolls on the armor roll that you roll additionally. So that's going to be a slow process, getting higher armor, but gloves are the next step. Now, if you don't have a Barrett's chest piece, you could run anything that you feel like. You could run Vigorous, you could run Reckless if you're not dying to elites. You could run a set chest and then choose something like Savage Gloves or Tenacious Mask. All those work pretty nice. I really just like this backpack. I like this backpack better than Savage Gloves. Savage Gloves got nerfed pretty hard. They have now only 7% crit chance to targets out of cover, which is not very much. 7 crit chances is a decent amount, but I'd rather have my skill power. I mean, this skill power here adds me almost 3 crit chance, 2 to 3 crit chance to my pulse, as well as like 40,000 health when I heal. I don't know what it adds with booster shot. It was adding 40,000 with overdose, but it's got to be a decent chunk with what's it called, booster shot as well. So other than that, talents, you can choose whatever you want. I always run lately I always run a heal, and you can choose either Smart Cover or Pulse. I was running Smart Cover to give it a try, but I'm going to go back to Pulse. Yeah, 19.5, 20.4 crit chance on that. So my crit chance is around 35%, which isn't that bad, but it's also not that great. And my crit damage is kind of low. So keep that in mind. As far as talents, what I run is Steady Hands. I run On the Move. What these do is Steady Hands lets you reduce your recoil by 25% for 10 seconds after entering cover. You don't have to stay in the cover. You can pop in and hop right out and have the benefit for that, and I recommend that. On the Move, really, really strong. Kill a hostile while moving to reduce incoming damage by 30% for 10 seconds. This is huge. Huge. One of the best talents in the game, I think, unless you just stand still the whole time. One is None, also really, really good. One of the best talents here. Headshot a hostile to have a 50% chance of not consuming the bullet. This makes your magazine last a lot longer as long as you're landing headshots. And then the final talent is up to you, I'd say, which I use Critical Save. Use a med kit during low health to increase damage resistance by 40% for 10 seconds. So when you're about to die, you pop your med kit. As long as you're in a single bar or less, you got to be in your last segment. You will have huge damage resistance. But other options, if you're running something like Smart Cover, you could run Tech Support. When you kill enemies, it extends the skill's duration by 10%. You could use Adrenaline to give you the overheal on your med kits. You could use Combat Medic to heal your groups, or your shield if you were using a shield or something. There's some other options you could use. Where is it? Precision. If you're not running Pulse, this is a really good one. This will give you your base pulse. Headshot a hostile to pulse them for 10 seconds. So what I mean by base pulse is you look at pulse, and then you look at what it says base. So this would add me 7.7% crit chance, 7.7% crit damage, which is not very much. But if you're not running pulse, 7.7 crit chance is pretty decent, man. And all you got to do is headshot them. So keep that in mind when you're choosing your talents. There's a decent amount of choices you can go with. But I think that covers everything. And I'm really liking the Alpha Bridge. I didn't really like it at first because I really like to snipe. I was running strikers, building stacks, and sniping, and that works great in solo play. But once you start playing with other players, strikers loses its effectiveness. The biggest thing is that you overkill enemies. You'll be shooting an enemy, and then all of a sudden, teammates will start shooting that enemy, and you'll shoot more bullets into him after he died, and it'll pull your stacks really quick. It was extremely hard for me to maintain stacks in a group compared to solo play, and also the AI does weird things. When you're solo, they're focused on you, they're doing things that you can expect. In a group, they're moving all over the place. They're running back and forth and running after your friends and whatever. They're just doing weird shit, and it makes it a lot more difficult to build up stacks. But the thing I noticed the most is the overkilling, which after they die, they're still standing before they fall to the ground all the way, and you can easily shoot them with five plus bullets before you notice that they're actually dead, and you just lost a bunch of stacks of your strikers. So after getting some really good assault rifles, I'm actually really enjoying the Alpha Bridge, and also after I changed my Alpha Bridge to be more well-rounded and not just focus purely on damage, but focus on everything from damage to reload speed to health on kill and health over time on kill. It's been real nice. I'm enjoying it. So I highly recommend this build. Not too difficult to put together. Check vendors. They sometimes will be selling the pieces. And yeah, 229s are still not that bad. You're just going to be missing a little bit of main stat and armor. So if you're still sitting on 229s, that doesn't mean you can't build the set until you find 256s. I've been running this for the last like 4 days trying to get pieces that were 256, and I'm still missing the gloves. But maybe today I'll find them. Thanks for watching this. I got other build videos. Right now I got the Strikers build, and should have some gun videos up. Gonna make more gun videos for a handful of real nice guns that I've found. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't, or watch us live at Twitch TV/StreamerHouse. We're live 24/7 there. Thanks again, guys.